All right, welcome in everybody. Good morning. We're thankful to have you here. I'm Tom Hare, the Chief Content Officer of the Performance Driven Marketing Institute. We're back for our, so kind. We appreciate all of you for joining us here at PDMIwest. We're session 6 of 8. I can see the finish line coming, which is great. And it's great to have so many great faces in the audience here as we get down to the last events of the day. We are very thankful to all of you for being here, thankful to our sponsors. We are thankful particularly to our educational session sponsor, Bluewater. And Bluewater has a message to share with you now.
I'm incredibly proud to be the official protein bar of NASCAR.
Are you looking for an on-the-go travel
I feel like
snack?
doing yourself. Life even works.
Get yours
It
today.
really works.
It's better on a Blackstone.
So thank you again to Bluewater. I don't know if anyone's at that table right now, but after the session, they might be back there. So, speaking of Bluewater, where are my customers is the title of our session. Our moderator today is the Executive Vice President of Media at Bluewater, Sarah Andreadakis. She's going to take you through this next 45 minutes with this great group of panelists, and I'm going to hand over the clicker now.
Thank you, Tom, for the nice introduction. Pleased to be here and to be joined by 3 very excellent brands with diverse backgrounds, products, and services to talk about not just is consumer behavior changing and where consumers are shopping, but the media landscape has not just fragmented, but splintered. So finding consumers to turn them into customers has become even more challenging. Whether you're on the brand side or the agency side or a service side, this is a challenge that we are all facing. So how do we grow our businesses and meet consumers to turn them into customers where and when they are? I'm pleased to be joined, like I said, by these 3 fabulous individuals and their companies. I'll leave it to them to introduce themselves, starting with Kyler to my left.
It's nice to meet all of you. I'm Kyler. I'm with Balance of Nature. I'm the media director. Balance of Nature is a health lifestyle company, and we mission is really for more people to eat more fruits and veggies. And so it's really fun to be here to talk about this topic. I think at our core, the purpose is our customers and our target audience and really caring for them. And so it's nice to be here. Is that a good enough introduction? I don't know.
That's terrific. Yeah. Do me one favor and just share with the group where you're currently marketing your products.
Cool. So we're our very diverse. Think linear TV, digital media, CTV. We're basically everywhere you can be. One of the places we're starting to get more and more is TikTok. I know that's a pretty big jump from Fox News to TikTok advertising, but it's been a fun one, a fun challenge to navigate.
Perfect. Thank you. Here.
Awesome. I'm Pete Russo, President of Allied Elite Financial. Serial entrepreneur. I've had multiple businesses from food service to real estate. Currently with financial planning, so I'll run a wealth management company. What we do is it's pretty unique for the space. We're direct response marketers, so we actually put out ads for financial planning services, and then we have a network of financial advisors nationally that we deploy those appointments to. So not only do we generate the lead, but we also field the calls with our own in-house call center, and then deploy those appointments to our brand of financial planners in every state. So it's definitely changed over the years. We started off in digital, and what's so strange about that is that now we're predominantly on TV. Most people have done it in reverse. They started off in TV, now they're in digital, but we did it opposite. So, it's worked out great for us. The digital space is very, very busy, a lot of competition, and it seems like TV is just not so busy. So we're dominating that space. So very cool.
Perfect. Yeah. And Tina?
Hi, I'm Tina Watkins. I'm with Meaningful Beauty. I have been on the brand side for about 5 years now. I'm our television director, and prior to being with brand, I spent about 20 years on the media side. So currently we are in linear TV with long-form paid programming still, with 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. We have CTV with 30 seconds. We have meta ads. We just launched for our second run in Costco last week. So that is our only retail space at the moment. Also on Amazon. And we have just dipping our toes into TikTok Shop.
So good variety of experiences and channels that we're navigating across these various products and services. So let's talk just a minute about some of the questions and things that we see as challenges, and then at the end here we'll open it up to some Q&A. So starting with thinking about this customer journey, and as consumers spend their time in so many different places, do you think brands should try to follow customers across every channel or focus on a few key touch points?
Yeah, for us, there's a lot of different areas we can be advertising, and we're chasing the value that our target audience is experiencing. And I think people are exchanging their time or money for whatever they're consuming in their life every single day, whether it's your product or services or whether it's the media that they're consuming. And so if we can be where they find value, whether that's scrolling on TikTok or whether that's consuming news, wherever they're trying to find value, that's where we chase them. We want to be in meaningful entry points in their daily life, essentially. And so try to find the ones that have that are more efficient. I think if you can have a meaningful touch point on TV and then supplement that with some retargeting, I think that's impactful. But with it being fragmented, the challenge really is how do we measure it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, we follow the entire journey. Where a conversion happens is most important, obviously. For us, it's inbound calls. So we want to hit the consumer as much as possible, but we want to drive them to make a phone call to us. Mm-hmm. So, capturing a lead online, it hasn't been as successful as an inbound phone call. So yeah, definitely seeing our brand, multiple areas has helped, but we follow as much as we possibly can to try to influence that phone call.
Yeah, and we're a little bit older of demos, so we still get quite a bit on the inbound phone lines versus a web uplift. We target the 55 plus females, but as those 55 plus have become more accustomed to shopping online, we're seeing that the shift in the calls is going a little bit towards the web as each year goes by. So a few different touch points across those multiple access to the brand is key. If we try and follow them, we'll be exhausted.
I think it's interesting though, because our key demo is 55 plus as well for retirement planning. And you're right, I mean, a lot of phone calls. They convert more making a phone call rather than online for us as well.
There's a comfort level.
Yeah.
They don't want to give out a lot of information online. They don't know what'll happen to it, but they'll very happily give out a credit card number to a stranger on the other line.
I think it's fun too when we're all these different areas that we can chase, and it does get exhausting trying to hit someone at every point as much as you can, right? I think we find there's certain levels of frequency per platform that
yes.
we want them to be on either a certain amount of emails that we know is key, with the same mix of how many TV commercials that we know they should see, or with our meta ads. Mm-hmm. And so trying to find the balance is a challenge. Consumers are always changing. Right?
Exactly. They're going to jump from one platform to another platform, and if you have happened to taken your ads off of that platform, then you just missed a whole group of audience, and they've moved somewhere else. And if you keep jumping after them, you're going to be playing hopscotch the whole time. So stay put and stable to some degree while still trying some other areas.
So what's interesting about that, and it's probably surprising to the group to hear us talk about phone calls, okay? And not every type of media generates phone calls like another, but there's probably some things that you have been surprised about in the last year, whether it's been channels that do provide phone calls, channels that are working, where you're finding conversions, and that changes. Like, we're watching consumer behavior change. You've mentioned a couple of channels here, such as TikTok, that you probably wouldn't have mentioned 2 years ago. Right, so talk to us a little bit about what shifts you're seeing in consumer behavior that have surprised you in the past year, especially when you think about where conversions are happening.
I'll start that one off. Whereas first, where a conversion actually happens, I mean, like I said, we're just starting to get involved in TikTok Shop, which for us is a reflection of kind of QVC shopping. So it's the live shopping demonstrations, people up on the stage using the product right then and there. You get to see it come out of the bottles. You see it, and you see their genuine reactions to what they're holding in their hands and are about to use. And that is so very valuable that I would say in the probably past 5-7 years, QVC has kind of fallen out of consumers' vision, and they've moved to different platforms.
And just for a reminder for the group, you just said TikTok Shop, but you also told us a little bit ago about who your demo is.
Exactly.
And so did that surprise you to
Yes.
find your demo on TikTok Shop?
Because when we would run just ads on TikTok, we were not getting a conversion, but we might have been getting a lot of views and web activity, but they did not pull the trigger. So they needed that extra education to some degree that they would see with TikTok Shop and a little bit more of an explanation of the product.
Yeah, for us, TikTok hasn't really been successful in the sense of generating leads. Again, just being DR, we're not doing a point of sale. We're not selling anything. So people have to meet for a financial plan. So again, just getting eyeballs and views has helped, but we're not seeing conversions happen on TikTok. So for us, it doesn't really back out because we look at everything in conversion and, phone ringing, right?
Right.
So, but it's a great platform.
Have you found anything, though, in the last year that has surprised you and shifted a little bit?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's definitely, in our demo, there's a lot more, 55 plus watching TikTok. If you're on a flight, you can see how many people are scrolling through TikTok. It's pretty surprising because you wouldn't think that, but it's definitely happening.
Right.
So they're consuming the data, but again, in terms of converting that into an appointment or something that's tangible for us in our market has been complicated.
Well, one thing that's been really surprising for us is our product is available D2C primarily as well as on Amazon. And we've noticed a significant shift towards our Amazon listing in terms of where we're seeing response. And then it becomes an interesting challenge of why are customers purchasing on Amazon? The price point is there's a fairly significant difference between our D2C site and Amazon. So what is it that Amazon is doing to build value for those customers that is enough to justify that price point? Because we have data that suggests that they're coming to our website first and then they're going to Amazon.
Interesting.
And so it's been really fun to experiment with different offerings and different ways to innovate our product to become more valuable to the consumers. I think also utilizing Amazon as research, I think from the consideration standpoint, more and more of our consumers are exploring the reviews on Amazon, and so ensuring that those are strong and ensuring Amazon reviews are on our website and having that as a trust factor, or buy with Prime is something that we're looking to experiment
Yeah, I
with.
think the credibility is huge there. I mean, I do the same thing. I'll research something, then I'll go buy it on Amazon. And again, for me, and we're all consumers, right? But I think it's the safety, the delivery. Like when I looked at something and said, hey, it'll be here in 2 hours. I'm like, oh my God. Now, I don't know if through your website you can get that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can get 2 hours.
Right, exactly. So it's like we're ordering something that's here in 2 hours. So
That's
for
better
Amazon,
than same day.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Exactly what time it's going to arrive, right?
Yeah, because even if you see same day, but you see a window of delivery from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., I'm like, I'm doing that for sure. Because you need it, right? So.
Yeah, certainly the Amazon piece of the puzzle is very interesting. It's an area that we have we put a different product on than we have available on our website. It's a different price point. But then you think about, well, they're going to subscribe on Amazon, so they get a deal there. Why wouldn't they subscribe with us and get an even better deal and build that trust factor with us directly? So that is a bit of a challenge. If they're going to go on Amazon and buy once, our hope is then they're going to flip over to buy the next time with us and get a better experience overall.
So it's interesting because we're direct response marketers. So here you're putting stuff out on TV, you're putting stuff out in other channels, you're seeing that they go to your website, then they go to Amazon. Kind of leads into our next question is where we have the responses happening on so many platforms. How do you figure out which platform is really working versus maybe it's just noise, your Amazon did really well? How are you pulling the whole picture together?
Yeah, that's been a challenge, I think, for certain networks that we advertise on. It's kind of a split response, either calls, website, or Amazon traffic. And it's almost impossible to measure direct Amazon traffic from a TV commercial. And especially from our meta ads, it's impossible to see exactly without just, I mean, you can do a lift analysis and keep track of it really close and that stuff, but there's not direct attribution that way. And so can we master what we do on our D2C site and with what drives call volume across so many platforms? I don't think there's a great solution. There's many different solutions that you can kind of piece together. But we're in the mood, always test. And yeah, well, that answers the question exactly. But
No, it does, because you have to test it. You're having a hard time doing direct attribution with Amazon. Peter, Tina, how do you guys navigate it?
Well, wish us luck, because we're in the middle of Prime Days. So these are the weeks when we kind of put an asterisk on our reporting and say, what was the driving event? Well, Amazon raised the bar on everything. Our TV CPO is going to be not what it has normally been for the past 6-8 weeks. We don't expect it to be level. That's going to take the hit. Those customers are going to go to Amazon. So at the end of the day, we look at how did everything perform. And if everything is performing where we need to be, then we kind of take a step and go, okay, we're doing okay. Let's keep it level set across the board. If we see a drastic change, then we dive in and say, okay, what changed, where, how, and what was that driver? But yeah, it's going to be difficult to pick it apart this week.
I think we do something very similar to looking at things in the aggregate.
Yes.
And understanding what buttons we're pushing when. We use different TV attribution softwares, and we also, of course, are looking at what platform measurement is. When we're looking for new partners for measurement, we're not lacking data, right? We've got tons of data points. True. We're hoping to find partners that can provide clarity.
Yeah, clarity is key.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean,
Lots of
Facebook
data.
attribution alone, we know is not necessarily reliable. They say they do this much. I mean, it's like, maybe it's 80% of that.
But yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned testing. We were kind of joking about it. Could we do a live test here?
Right.
So who in this room thinks from a spokesperson perspective, from a spot, the accent of the spokesperson actually matters, right? So we're testing everything constantly. When we were on digital, we would test a blue button versus a red button, a female versus a male. But in our spot on radio, we're like, all right, well, let's test a British accent versus an American accent. So let's just see from a raise of hands, again, financial services, who thinks the British converted higher? Okay.
Unless it's a New York accent.
Oh, okay. Who thinks the American converted higher? Okay, look at that. Isn't that crazy? So you're all wrong. The American converted higher. And again, everyone thinks it's the British, right? And I thought it was going to be the British, but that's just the point of you have to constantly be testing, because you can really think you have a winner, but it turns out you just don't,
Yeah. We did a focus group
Yes, focus. They're
6 or 8
huge.
months
Yeah.
ago, and we hadn't done one in years. And the things we learned in that, we were like, wait, what? You don't understand what that product does? How do you not know? So we realized that we need to educate the consumer earlier on in our commercial to hook them in and really get them to make their choice. So yeah, there were some interesting insights that you'll get from a focus group that will just blow your socks off.
And that's the really interesting thing, especially for this question, is like, why aren't we just asking?
Exactly.
Well, and so post-purchase surveys are really big for us in understanding where a consumer first heard about us. Like, we want to hear where they believe the first time they heard about us, and then when was the last ad they saw. what was the last.
The only problem with that is you're relying on their memory.
Exactly.
And you don't know how
How accurate that is, yeah. Especially with our group.
exactly.
Yeah, and it goes into really as we think about what are we giving credit to, so where do we push further into things from our marketing standpoint. When it comes to memory and post surveys, I remember we tested this out for a couple of different programs, and some of the questions were things like, did you hear about us on TV? Did you hear about us on radio? In that particular situation, we had maybe 5 different selections in there. Client wasn't even running TV, and the amount of people that clicked TV, you would have thought it was the majority of our advertising.
That's what we do with Joe Rogan. We're not on Joe Rogan, but for the podcast section, we have Joe Rogan. We want to see who the liars are. And
Yeah, exactly.
They just figured they're listening to it. I had to have been there.
Yeah,
we also
right.
tested like what order it was in
Yes.
the post
That's
survey.
really important.
And people were clicking the top one, and we would change what was up there at the top. And so we didn't find it to be totally reliable. But the question is, what is reliable? Do you think last click attribution is the way to do it? Is it dead? What are you using to figure out, should I push more into this marketing channel or another?
Yeah, we use a weighted approach, because last click only it can give you unreliable results. So if we weight things, and we have our own kind of algorithm how we look at it, it's probably a little crazy, but I mean, we just have to constantly look at data,
Yeah, well, with all the phone attribution that is available, we still rely on those 800 numbers.
Oh, yeah.
QR codes are great. The engagement on those QR codes has really been interesting. I think the last couple of weeks that I've been looking at it, our QR code conversion is about 8 to 10%, and that is accounting for about another third of our orders on top of our phone orders. I mean,
That's significant.
It is
Oh,
very
yeah, it's huge.
significant. I mean, so we
And
kind
for
of
an
use
older
that
demo?
direction. Yeah, we use that directionally as far as trying to figure out how much of that web could have been coming from those ads on TV. But then the rest of it is, it's weighted. How much is going to come from our CTV? You're relying on pixel data
Yep.
and things of that nature. That last click attribution is going to be fuzzy. Podcast data, things like that. You get, we're taking credit for a portion of an order. Well, how does that work?
Yeah, for us, I mean, QR codes never really were successful. It almost added another layer. So it's like, make the call, book the appointment, whereas if you had a QR code, then they have to fill something out to book the appointment. It just added more friction, so it just wasn't successful, although I wanted it to be, because I love QR codes.
But really important for your business to get somebody on the phone.
100%, yes. And
More
again,
valuable customer.
Yeah, and the trust is there. You build trust through education, and our demo likes to talk to people.
And it comes down to how well your agents are trained too at
Yes,
that point.
for sure.
You have to have that rapport
Yep.
that the agent can translate.
It becomes an
to.
extension of your marketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%, agreed.
For us, we also approach it with a weighted approach. But keeping in mind the last click, I think for us we conceptualize what our funnel is across the different segments that we have, and what their journey would look like, and ensuring that each attribution model is matching where we're investing these different things. So with a weighted, we want ensuring our top of funnel is being appropriately given the credit for, and with the last click, and ensuring that it is skewed towards our lower funnel advertising appropriately.
Yeah, it's funny that you also mentioned the sort of the sales team on the phone or extension of marketing. That's another attribute for us. I mean, we have our own in-house call center. A little bit of a nightmare. I mean, obviously, call centers are tough. It's a tough business, and it's tough being on the phones. But again, we have a lot more control. Because again, if you're using outsourced call centers, maybe you don't have enough volume for them. Maybe you're using shared resources, and it just becomes complicated. For us, again, they are an extension of our marketing department for sure. And how well they know the product and how well they connect with the consumer definitely affects conversion.
Sure.
So they're almost the last click.
Yeah.
Those people on the phone, right? So.
Sure.
And I don't know if you've used this in the past, but we make sure that we get our product to our call centers.
Oh, for sure.
Give them samples. Let them use the product so that when they're talking to the customer on the other line and they say, I've got dry skin, is this going to help? Oh, this is going to be wonderful. It feels great when it goes on. Those kinds of things. It's so important, but it's kind of like one of those, easily piece of the puzzle that you may not even consider doing. but to make them an extra branch out for your customer between you and the brand, it's so important.
If we have call centers in the audience, they now love you. They're all going to follow you and love you for that. It's very, very helpful. So one thing that I've heard across all of this here is, yes, you look at the last touch attribution information to give you some directional things, but you're also finding it valuable to be in multiple channels. So whether that's even in TikTok, if you're not seeing the conversions there, it's still playing a role in the full consumer journey, because consumers today aren't just watching TV. They're usually watching TV with a device of some sort in their hand, right? And they're spending time across these multiple channels. So being in multiple channels has added value. Measuring it, using various attribution models, which you spoke to. I like that idea. I think it's important to use multiple attribution models and see what works for you. But it's also important to test. So we talked about, like, 2 years ago, you probably wouldn't have said TikTok Shop's doing great for you. At some point, it makes sense to test something new. Testing something new can have a high customer acquisition cost to it. So how are you navigating things in your businesses of balancing the cost of what could be a rising cost of overall customer acquisition when you test something new with, do you test something new?
You have to, as a business, go forth and say, okay, we're going to set aside a certain amount of money and assume it's not going to do anything, and decide what that risk is. And if you say, okay, this quarter we're gonna dedicate this amount, we're gonna test it in first quarter. If it generates some interest, fantastic. We can run with it. We can invest in it more, because you can just roll that money right back into it. And if it falls flat, okay, move on to the next thing. Test something different next quarter. Doesn't mean you can't go back and test that whatever didn't work next year or the year after, because let me tell you, that'll change. So you can't ever write off something like that. But you just have to have a dedicated amount that your business can handle, and just consider it flushing it down the drain, whatever, because it may or may not work. And if it works, then that's your added value.
And sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works, yeah.
And sometimes it works big.
Yes.
You know, I know basically, like, 7 out of 10 tests fail or whatever. There's a lot of analytics around that. But yeah, you have to have some portion of your budget that is dedicated to testing. Otherwise, if you're not moving forward, you're dying, right? So
yeah, we're in agreement with setting aside a test budget. You have to have a good infrastructure and framework for testing, right? And that each test, regardless if it is a success or a failure in terms of lowering acquisition costs and driving customers, that each one of them can be a benefit towards the company.
Yes.
Now that you know something, things become known, you can optimize from there.
Sure.
For us, we're looking at different, constantly evaluating our consumers' behavior, and where they are, where the shifts are in terms of their media consumption. That's where we lean towards testing. And so we hear a lot about TikTok because, like you said, we're seeing more and more people in our demo that are consuming TikTok. And so how does that work? Do they trust products advertising on TikTok? Is it more of an awareness play? How do you convince executive management that awareness is a good thing and awareness leads to other results, because they won't see a direct, ROAS from it?
It's probably not a popular conversation.
No, we've seen that too, though. I mean, because, I talk to my financial advisors, and they're hearing from the consumer, like, oh, I saw this strategy on, there's obviously influencers. There's a guy by the name of, it's called like the Wall Street Einstein. He's on TikTok, older gentleman, running around Wall Street, and he's just talking about the market and things, and he's doing it live. But he'll talk about tax benefits and different things of that nature. And then that'll get brought up to the advisor in the meeting, saying, "Hey, I heard this new strategy or whatever." And it's like they heard that from TikTok. There's no credibility, right? They don't really know who this person is,
right?
And then yet they're bringing that up. So obviously there's value there.
Yeah.
And the content that they're consuming, they're taking to heart, right? So
to not have the direct ROI to it, it's sometimes hard to justify continuing to put dollars
100%,
to
I agree.
it.
Yes.
Okay, and so if we're only buying the media that has like the highest ROI, we may be missing some of that that's going to be impacting it, because we're only looking at the last click, really, attribution of it, right?
Yep.
So looking at business holistically, you've tested something, now you're looking at what my total numbers look like. Did it move the needle, that combination of things together? It is a strategy to help you figure out how much do you invest in some of those other pieces of the journey that don't have the highest ROI or the most direct attribution to it. As you think through your journey and some of the things that you've tested, obviously TikTok Shop was a little bit of a surprise for you. So is there anything else that your businesses have tested or tried, whether it's channels or tactics in the last little while here, that's been surprising, the ROI on it, or just has become too expensive to justify doing anymore?
So podcasting, probably 3-4 years ago was when we started. And we started with host-read campaigns, CPMs above 20, through the roof. You know, it didn't make sense. But we kept testing, and we found out, okay, well, let's just lower that CPM. How do we get that better? Okay, let's hit some genre targeting. Let's take this a different way, and that has actually really been a platform we've been able to grow. And you know, every now and then we'll go back and we'll try. Okay, well, let's try this host. Let's try this this particular podcast. If it works, great. But again, we just keep going back to, okay, we need the more general targeting with those.
Podcasting, good.
Yeah, one tactic that we're implementing and continue to implement is taking advantage of all the free stuff that we have, all of our owned media, and experimenting with our organic social or experimenting with our blog posts and trying different tactics and creative concepts on there. And based off of the algorithms in each social, if it picks up and it gets more views, then we know that this creative concept is one that we can translate into some of our other ads. You know, if we want to translate that into digital native ads, or translating that concept into certain CTV models. That's been a really cool strategy that we've been implementing. And
That is a cool strategy.
Yeah, we've seen some cool early success in that. So we just like take advantage of the free stuff. It's really
that's a great idea.
And from an expensive standpoint, it's CTV becomes it's because it's growing so much and there's so many people on these different platforms. It's really expensive to figure out, like, going direct to publisher, or do I find a partner that a good DSP to go through, and that's become really expensive. Not to the point where we're going away from CTV, but where we're reanalyzing how we're approaching it.
Mm-hmm. Emerging spaces can be like that, especially when it's new as a company getting into it for the first time. There's certainly tools out there, AI, other predictive analytics tools, that are said to be able to help you find customers, maybe do so in a way that lets you either better hone in who you're going for or expand into that. What has your experience has been with using AI or predictive analytics?
I think we met obviously before this panel and talked about things. It was fun that we shared some knowledge. I don't necessarily have like this deep distrust for AI, but I do have many instances where team members are using AI for projects, and you can clearly see it's lacking the human element of it. And that's disappointing, and you'll see at times the data that it's giving back to you and analyzing a little bit more. I'm like, oh, this is hallucinating right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm putting in more work analyzing.
Yeah, trying to decipher
the AI, and then it goes back to being really, as a company, all right, I'm not an AI company. Like, I'm not a tech company. It's like but there are people out there that know this stuff better than I do, and so how do I choose the right horse to partner with that is leading in AI implementation? I think right now it's a little too complicated.
Yeah, and I feel the space is very saturated. So like it's the buzzword, right? Everyone says AI. There's AI in everyone's name. So it's like you don't really know who to trust, who to use, and again, I find it very misleading at times too. Some of the data that you're getting back, it just doesn't make any sense. And a lot of times you get people that will take that to the finish line and be like, hey, this is, Die Hard. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, did you actually even read this? So it looks really good though. Like the AI does a really good job at putting things together that looks really good. But again, you do need a human to go through and validate and make sure it's accurate. And a lot of times you'll find discrepancies that are just blatant. But if you don't really kind of go through it line by line, and you guys probably, we're all consumers, right? You've used Zoom notes or whatever, and it's awesome because it puts together this great synopsis.
But it's not always right.
No, it's definitely not right. It's not like, I didn't talk about snowmen. Like what? So, but yeah, it's probably the New York accent though. Doesn't pick it up all the time. So.
Yeah, I'd double down on that. I mean, it's great to do some of the back end workhorse stuff, but you've got to have some human brains go through it and kind of think like the consumer and not like a machine, because it's taken the emotion out of making a purchase, so it just doesn't take that into the factor.
One of the ways a lot of AI is being applied is, and you mentioned going into the OTT, CTV space, is being able to use AI to help you find more audiences, which is great because you can do so much targeting of specific audiences in the OTT, CTV space. So that's an opportunity to have different creatives or messages for different audiences and use that data to help you find different audiences and messages for them, which can be cool because what a neat tool to be able to use. Have you had any experiences with using, well, I should just say experiences with adjusting the creative or the messaging for different audiences across either CTV or like TikTok versus CTV?
Yeah, one of our attribution partners has, we might have some, now that I'm starting to talk about it, I think I signed an NDA. I'm trying to figure out what I can say.
Okay, don't break that.
Let's ask AI. What can I say here?
No, one of our partners is implementing their own AI model, just taking advantage of all the creative data that they have from years and years of TV measurement. And there's some really cool things because it's different sentiments that we're able to measure. And we can ask questions like what celebrity should I partner with for trying to convey this message, and it will give us a list of and we're asking for an A-list, B-list, C-list celebrity that can help convey this message and drive meaningful results. And that's been really interesting there, and that's kind of shaped how and who we've reached out to. Balance in Nature, we won't. We're not in the business of hiring actors or anything like that. All of our customer success stories are real, authentic customers that take our products and our services, and so that's how we've also approached celebrities. They would need to be taking Balance in Nature and these different things. Anyways, but to the point of using AI, we use it to our creative team to rapid storyboarding concepts and things like that. And AI will do okay at being kind of a launch pad, but ultimately, I need my creative team to actually do the heavy lifting of it.
Yeah, for us, it's education-based sales. So we're always giving away free content, and that usually converts really well. But great little nugget there on the AI for a spokesperson. I'm definitely going to use that because we use spokespeople or persons all the time. So yeah, finding the right one that will convert highest. I mean, we're always going through it, A-list, B-list, C-list. So it's interesting. I'll always focus groups. I'll ask a lot of the people, hey, who do you think would be a great spokesperson? And so I'm going to ask AI now. And we'll see how that turns out.
But it's interesting because we just talked about AI maybe making mistakes, but we might want to lean into it on this one.
I want to hear it. Yeah, to be continued.
Usually, for other companies that we've talked to, The Rock seems to be at the top of the list for everything.
All right. So we'll use The Rock.
Skinny Rock or the regular Rock?
Oh, God.
If it's not The Rock, it's Shaq.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's true. So if you see a commercial of mine with Shaq now, or The Rock,
now we know.
You know where it came from.
I don't think they're going to work for my brand, but
Yeah.
but I mean, for us, it comes down to who that audience is going to find as genuine.
Yeah.
So, and CTV, a little bit like younger bottom portion of our demo versus somebody who's watching our long form, half-hour commercial is going to find a different genuine quality and a different spokesperson. So yeah, we might use somebody different in our shorter formats that just would not fit well with our longer, and we found that out earlier this year. We had an influencer did great on Meta. We said, great, let's put her in our long form. Oh no, oh no. The focus group said no.
Wow.
And that's a really good point. Like at times we're so driven by efficiencies, and that goes down to like every process in our company. And we're like, all right, let's do one shoot that is for TV, and let's try to get all these digital assets too at the same time. Mm-hmm. And we've found that doing digital first content does best on digital. What a surprise, right? And,
Shocking.
And making sure that the message is consistent. Like the theme behind the creative is consistent.
Yeah, the theme, exactly.
But the actual content is curated specifically for the platform. Like with CTV and YouTube, there has to be a really strong hook. TV commercials, like you got to get their attention and keep their attention, of course, but they're there for 30 seconds. They're not going to, depending on the network. The network really determines if someone tunes out, not so much the commercial itself.
True, yeah.
TV thumbs don't work quite as fast as TikTok thumbs, right?
Yeah.
We have a little bit more time to hook them. Okay, so just as we start to wrap up a little bit here, funny that you mentioned, or we started saying 2 years ago, we wouldn't have thought about TikTok Shop. So now let's think about fast forward 2 years. Where do you think consumers are going to be spending most of their time, and you should be trying to reach them?
I think it's going to be YouTube TV. I think just the evolution of the content and how to access the content is going to land a little bit more in the YouTube space, and that's been a space that we really haven't gotten to get some real good details in yet. Still fleshing that one out. So
I think the platform doesn't exist yet, and
Yeah, I would agree.
I think consumers' behavior is changing so rapidly, and there was a big shift with the cord cutters and the I forget the term for it, the never corders.
never.
Is that I don't know. But and now you have Disney that has their offering, Paramount Plus, HBO Max, and you see them commingling with each other. Amazon Prime. It's costing, if you want to see all of your favorite shows, it's like $150 a month, and you're basically paying for cable, but it's on demand, right?
On demand.
And so, is there going to be a shift back towards linear TV and the free content with over-the-air channels and things like that? I think they're trying really hard to bring more value to viewers and to especially younger people. Or is there going to be a platform that unifies CTV and all these different subscription-based products? I think Amazon, Google are probably primed for that. I think you've said Prime, that's fine.
Yeah.
But Amazon has where you can subscribe within their platform, right? And so I think they're making a massive push at having all of your subscriptions in one place and potentially lowering the cost of subscription. So I think Amazon advertising is probably going to be, in 2 years, one of the places where people are most.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think what we were talking about earlier, just with the trust, Amazon has so much trust that if they're going to be in that space, they're going to dominate.
Yeah.
So I would agree.
Well, they have a pretty good head start.
Yeah.
And a lot of money.
And a lot of money.
And they started as a bookstore.
That's right.
All right, so we just have another minute or two here. Any last words of wisdom, pieces of advice you'd like to leave the group here?
Cast your net wider than what you think it really is. You're going to get some customers on that outer edge that you just didn't consider. And I think really a prime example of this is CTV and linear TV. Well, if somebody's got Hulu, but they're watching live content, then they're going to get my live linear ad by watching that content and then in another, and then they flip their channel and they're watching something else a few hours later, and then they're going to get my CTV ad. So I've hit them with a 2, a 30, a 5, a 3, but it's kind of that bridge. So make sure your net is a little bit wider, and save yourself the cost of some of those extra targeting fees a little bit.
Yeah, from my standpoint, if there's anything, test everything and test it again, because you'll be really surprised by the results. So testing is really, really critical, and I think it's overlooked by a lot of people.
Even variables such as English versus British.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right?
You test the things that you wouldn't even normally test.
Well, and test
Yeah.
even the things that we think are just an assumption, like it's
Correct.
going to work,
Yeah.
right?
Because we're so close to our product.
Oh, yeah.
We assume everybody else thinks the same way as us,
Correct.
and
not the
your
case.
test will tell you differently.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, the startup environment is really interesting because I feel like you're testing so rapidly because
Yes.
you're trying to make something work. And then when you get into a more established business, there's some doctrine that gets made.
A lot of
about things.
assumptions.
A lot of assumptions.
And it's based on
Yeah.
comfort, too.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and so.
But this is the way we did it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
and being tactical, and we think politics politics is kind of a nasty word at times, but almost being political in your approach to challenging
The norm.
the norm.
Yeah, I agree.
and ensuring that you don't do it in a way that ruffles the wrong feathers or anything like that. But I'd also say, value is really important. We have to ensure that we have a valuable product for our consumers. We have to ensure that the content that we're creating is something that they're willing to exchange their time or money for, and that where we are advertising is where they feel they're getting the most value out of their time. And so.
Excellent. Well, I know we are at the official time of the session. Tom, can I turn it over to the group for questions and answers? We have time?
We've got a few moments to see if there's any questions from the audience.
In the back?
Anyone? Oh, right here.
Two questions. The first question is as after the call to action in your phone channel and it reaches the agent, what type of greeting or what type of approach do you have in keeping the journey going before you start building rapport? For example, do you have Cindy Crawford say, "Hey, thanks for calling"?
We do. we actually do, yes. Yeah.
Very good. So that's the first question. The second question
Some of them think they're going to talk to Cindy.
Oh, that's cute.
Yes, I've called and she hasn't returned my call. Second question is, it seems like the call seems to be your primary channel, but when you're digital, have you considered or tested a click to call? So they go into the TikTok, for example, and all of a sudden, I'd rather talk to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that one. The click-to-call worked great for us. Again, when people were actually using it, it converted really well. So yeah, click-to-call was an awesome option for us.
Does that mean you saw a behavior change where they stopped doing click-to-call?
Not necessarily. It just we weren't pushing as much digital. So yeah, when we did have digital click-to-call, it did work pretty well.
Okay.
So it's a good point.
So we have the QR code. We've seen a lot of people will scan it, do their research online, and then call.
Okay.
I think from the initial call standpoint, how to further the customer journey, we're even if however warm the lead is, right? Our call center is very focused on, I'm going to say the word again, value of product, and education is really important for us. And I think that's the next step, is that they understand and we understand why they want to purchase our products and services, and then we make the next step together.
One thing I'm curious about, not a lot of mention about creators, influencers. You see huge companies like Unilever dedicating 50% of their marketing budgets towards influencers. CPG, financial, beauty, those are, huge creator, influencer, and even on the micro and macro level. Is that something that you guys are starting to explore? Do you see that it's worked for your products? And speaking about TikTok, they even have, Symphony AI that's now leaning into generative creators. I'm curious if you guys are exploring anything in that world.
The generative creators thing is a little scary for me, because our company is so focused on authenticity. I think that is eventually going to be an advantage for us, is that we have only real people in our ads. From a creator standpoint, it's something that we're really focused on. We have actually some really lofty goals of by the end of this year having about 1,000 organic posts out every single week, and that takes a lot of building a community of content creators. And so we're rapidly building our community. I think we have about 300 content creators that are consistently churning content for us. But it becomes like that's in of itself is like its own AI, right? Is like the content we get is, and we don't necessarily want them to read off a script. It becomes like a game of prompts, and what type of prompt do we give our content creators to get the type of content we want, and that's a fun game to play for us.
Yeah, I agree with that. We need authentic, when it comes to beauty and things like that. The consumer is not dumb when it comes to that. They're going to see through somebody who's being fake. So we really strive to have that authenticity for sure. But getting a lot of content creators is something we are definitely considering to bring that breadth of it's applicable to everybody. So yeah, you have to explore how many of the different people can be singing your praises for you.
Any other questions? We thank you very much for your participation. Tom, go right ahead. I'm saying your words. Thank you so much.